Hey guys, Alex here with Serious Goose Games. Welcome back to our Unity Tactics RPG tutorial. Last time we fixed some bugs and did a minor refactor. Today we're going to be starting our inventory system by adding a base item class. We're going to start out by right-clicking in our scripts folder and adding a new script called base item. Go ahead and open that up. And our inventory system is going to rely heavily on scriptable objects and inheritance. So we want base item to actually inherit from scriptable object, because we're going to derive every other item from these from this class. And this will make sure that every other item we create off of this is a scriptable object that we can create and use and modify and store data in. So because it's a scriptable object, we can get rid of start and update. And we're going to put in a public enum called item type. And we're only going to have two for now. We can add more as we go. We're going to start with weapons. And we're also going to have consumables. And then for basic data that every item is going to have, we want a string for the item name. We want the item type. We also want durability. How many times can they use this item, if it's even a usable item? So we want a public int for durability, and then a public int for max durability. And for the most part, all of our items are going to have durability in some way, shape, or form. So even like healing potions are going to have a certain number of uses. In Fire Emblem, you have like your concoctions, or vulneraries, which have 3 uses. And this is going to be that. It's just the durability for a consumable item. And then the last thing we want is a sprite for the icon. So public sprite icon. Now we're going to hop back to Unity and create another script for our base weapon. I'm going to right click in here, go to create, monobehavior script, base weapon. We'll open that up. Now our base weapon, we actually need to put a header above the class declaration. So we're going to start with system.serializable and then create asset menu. And the file name is going to be new weapon. And the menu name is going to be scriptable objects /items/weapon. And then for inheritance, instead of mono behavior, we want to inherit from base item. We can get rid of start and update, and we can put in a couple of ints that are weapon specific. So an int for power, how strong is the weapon, a public int for our minimum range, which we haven't actually worked the logic in for yet, but later on that'll be nice to have, and then max range. And eventually we'll have other things like weapon weight, which could affect accuracy. Each weapon could have like a crit chance. You might have a sword that's really good at getting crits, kind of like a rapier in Fire Emblem. So there's other modifiers and stuff we can put in here too. Next, let's hop back to Unity and create another script for our base consumable. So right click in your scripts folder, create monobehavior script, base consumable. Go ahead and open that up. And just like before, we're going to add that header. So system.serializable, create asset menu, new consumable, scriptable objects /items /consumable. We're going to inherit from base item, and we're going to get rid of start and update. And the only thing we're going to have in here for now is an integer for how much we heal for. Because for now, the only thing our consumable is going to do is just restore HP. If we add status conditions later, we might have different types of consumables, and we could factor that logic in here. But for now, this is what we're rolling with. And that's all we're going to do for the inventory now. Inventories are a lot, and breaking them up into smaller chunks is going to be nicer for us, or nicer for me at least. But before we end the video, I want to go through and do another little mini refactor, and we're going to mess around with our unit turn function in Player AI. This function has a lot going on in it, and it's kind of difficult to navigate and read, so we're going to be modifying it and making it flow a little better. And the first thing we're going to do is create a reference to a target unit. So above where we have before we assign our target tile, we're going to assign our target unit to be equal to null. We'll make sure that the target unit is null at the start of each turn. And then inside this switch statement, we can clean up these if statements a bit. So instead of having all of this if stuff going on, we can instead set our target unit. So we'll replace if with target unit is equal to random.value is greater than 0.5f. And then we'll do a question mark because we'll do a ternary for this. So if the behavior is dumb, we're going to set target unit to be equal to the get target by health the maximum health with a 50-50 shot. Otherwise, we'll do our other option here. And so it's a lot more compact. It's a lot less for your eyes to be looking at. Basically, you can see we're rolling a random value to either get the target by its health or get the target by its distance. Now, because of how we have our defensive behavior set up, we can't exactly do the same thing. So that's going to stay the same. And now we're going to modify the logic for the rest of this. So if our target tile is null, but our target unit is not null, then we're going to set our target tile to be equal to gridmanager.getClosest tile, target unit, active unit. Otherwise, if our target unit is null and our target tile is null, so if target unit and target tile are null, we're going to set our movement left and our attacks left to 0. And just to be extra safe, we're going to end active unit turn. So if all of that has been done, we want to check to see if our target unit is not equal to null. We're still going to get our distance the same way. And then we're going to check if our distance is less than or equal to active unit.attack range, and we still have attacks left. That's all good. Then we attack and return. We don't need this else statement though. That we can get rid of. We're just going to set attacks left equals 0 if we don't return out of the function. And then we can get rid of this if statement if target tile equals null, because we already did that. If the target tile is not equal to null, we're going to get a reference to our start tile. So we'll do var start tile, and that's going to be equal to gridmanager.getTile, active unit.gridPosition. And then instead of having this segment in getPath, we can just pass in our start tile. So we'll pass in our start tile and our target tile, and we're going to ignore our start tile. And the rest of this can stay the same. Go ahead and save all your code, and let's head back to Unity. So back in Unity, we don't really have a lot here. If I right-click in the Assets folder and go to Create, you can see that the Scriptable Objects menu does show up. We have our items. We can create consumables and weapons. And actually, there's a space there, so let's go and fix that real quick. If we look at base weapon and base consumable, you can see I put a space there, but if we look at our unit class, you can see I did not put a space. So I'm going to put a space in there so that they're all part of the same menu. Now, if I right-click in Unity again, we go to Scriptable Objects, there's only one menu now. We can do a new class, or we can do items. I'm not going to create anything yet. We'll do that in a later video. And there's not really any changes to the gameplay itself. If I go into the game, nothing's really changed. Everything still works. Handle player turn, when we get to the AI turn, should still flow the same. Yep, so the enemy moved in, still doing things. But in general, not a whole lot to see. In the next video, we're going to actually set up our inventory. I'm thinking of using a Fire Emblem style inventory for missions, but having a loadout screen for armors and other items that units can take into missions, but can't change during the mission. That's all for today though, so if you found this video helpful, hit like and subscribe to help other devs find the series. Let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on the rock, paper, scissors weapon triangle system of Fire Emblem? I like the strategic depth it can add, but it really can make some fights trivial. As always, thanks for watching. I'm Alex with Serious Goose Games, and I'll see you in the next one.